mine is full sister. I swear there used to be more books around here. I thought it was there. Well, this door's always closed.
One of the dogs started in my snack bag. I woke up.
I didn't want to bring this car tonight. I mean, she can
I was waiting.
How much is this? I want to get the phone.
no, my teacher's coming. He has something written down. If it's good, we hope.
I didn't know that there were two on this.
The whole shark slides that they had that they bought at Big Bear. I know. I knew exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, those were cool.
Okay, wait, what's big?
Adventure, but I think it has some for like.
Oh, that place, yeah. I don't know that much. My first sister, I lost my shoes at home. I lost them. So I didn't realize I lost them. So it was there should be a middle school one. We feel underrepresented in middle school. Well, you know, I think we should have equal. Yeah, you see, a third of them, like, actually, some people.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us for the March 5th Board of Education meeting. As we call to order here, I would ask if you plan to make a public comment, you fill out a comment card and give it to Mrs. Howard at this time if he's not already done so. I would ask also that you silence your cell phone and remove your cap as we stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, this is the roll call, please, Mr. Chairman. Hanson. Donahue. Murphy.
Present.
Odell. Ramberg. And Locke. Present. And Haney, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Did you get the memo?
All right, I need a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved. Support.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, and sorry, I'm kind of fighting a little something, so who knows what might come out of my mouth this evening, so hopefully I can make it through good. But up first this evening are our reports, and we will start with our student board representatives.
Good evening, everybody. I hope everyone is doing well and, getting healthier with the season. So tonight we're starting with the high school. So the wrestling season had just ended, and impressive is probably an understatement. The team went 45-1. The state qualifiers were junior Admaya Delgado, senior Josh Azell, senior Jordan Brennan, freshman Tyler Sage, freshman Lucas Lewandowski, and then another freshman, Luciana Luna. The placers at state, Josh took 6th in the state, and then Tyler Sage took 7th in the state, for Division II. And then, on Friday, so March 7th, the Women in the Workplace, is gonna be happening, so women will go, I don't believe, do you know more about that? I don't know if you do, but I know there's like a little, it's like a field trip and they go somewhere. I know my boss is part of it, and that, I'm pretty sure they just kind of teach them things that they can, use when they go into a career. And then spring sports are starting next week. Everything starts March 10th. So like girls lacrosse tryouts are 10th, 11th, 12th. Boys lacrosse tryouts, thank you, Mason, actually, for telling me. So they're next week too. Track just starts March 10th. Softball tryouts are March 10th through the 12th, and then soccer tryouts are March 10th, and I believe all week.
So hearing about other board members' conferences, I figured I'd talk about mine. I attended the MASC, MAHS Student Leadership State Conference in Grand Rapids 2 weekends ago. The MASC, MAHS is the Michigan Association of Student Councils and Michigan Association of Honor Societies. Every year they host a statewide meeting with over 2,000 students. This year's theme was There's No Place Like States, which is like Wizard of Oz, Wicked idea, which was fun. This is my 3rd year going to the conference, and 5 others from our student council board came as well. Through keynote speakers, student-driven presentations, and other activities, we learned about the values of leadership and new ideas about what to incorporate into our student body. Personally, I believe it is always very beneficial to attend, and hearing different perspectives from schools is great information.
At the middle school coming up, this is more towards the end of the month, but Craig Turnquist, so the 8th grade's on March 26th at 8 o'clock. There's gonna be like a life lessons thing, fun games. That's like the hair contest thing. It was during COVID, so I never got it. But and then also on March 28th is gonna be a spring into wellness day. So there's gonna be different events set up, like yoga, mental health things. It's kind of more like an assembly, just to kind of talk to them. And then there's gonna be a professional stunt juggler health presentation that will be coming in for them. And then the 3rd round class meetings will be after spring break.
At Central on Friday, I spoke with some 5th grade students from Ms. Elmer's and Ms. Welch's rooms. I asked about their feelings on recent events and what they've been liking around their school. They're looking forward to the Shamrock Shuffle, as last year they enjoyed hanging out with friends and playing games in the hallways. And also, as it is now Martha's Reading Month, students are looking forward to theme days and the assembly later in the month where you can win a bike. School-wide, students are reading the book Flora and Ulysses. And the Shamrock Shuffle will be on March 12th. The admission is free, but students need to complete an RSVP form beforehand so enough food and drinks are provided.
Kind of adding on to the Shamrock Shuffle, it is also an NHS event, so if anybody knows anybody that is looking for hours, I know they're looking for a couple of students, maybe up to 4 or 5, I believe, that will be able to do that. And then at Linden Elementary, so in the last meeting I talked about how they're gonna have a theme reveal for March's Reading Month. So it's pirates, like we are readers. And so they're preparing also for parent-teacher conferences. And then last night there was over 120 families represented at their pirate-themed math and literacy night last night.
And last Thursday at Hyatt, I also spoke with some 2nd graders from Mr. Miller's class about recent events and what they've enjoyed around their school. They spoke highly about the Keepers Carnival and really enjoyed the face paint and games. When I asked about what they enjoyed within the school day other than recess, they were very excited to share about STEM class. Lately, the students have worked with a robot named Ozzy. A boy I spoke with said he loves STEM because he wants to become an engineer and an astronaut one day. I thought this was very informative to me since I didn't have a STEM class, but I was a Hyatt student. They also acknowledged how they enjoyed reading and going to the library, so they were enthusiastic about what events would be on the calendar for March, like the PJ Readathon, for instance. And tomorrow is Family Literacy Night. The event runs from 5 to 6:30, and traditionally this is a very popular event amongst high school Hyatt families. The event will have a guest author, the Michigan Education Lab book bus will be there, and other activities. Snacks and prizes will be provided.
And then, the rest of March events at Argent Elementary, where you can say as well. So March 3rd, or I guess it's already happened, it was the family open gym, but March 7th, so on Friday, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. It's an open computer lab for parents to complete enrollments, and then on March 20th, from 5:30 to 7, it's a family STEM night, which I'm very glad that they are still, incorporating everything and really getting that involved in the community. And I know that like some families are also like a little bit confused about it, so that they're having this opportunity for families, kind of go in there and know about it too. And if you want me to send you this.
Awesome, thank you both so much for all of that information. I always look forward to what you bring to us, and now with there being two of you, you're like doubling down on everything, which is amazing, so it keeps us really in the loop, which is really nice, so thank you both very much. All right, Ross, you are next with superintendent report.
Thank you and welcome everybody this evening. A couple things, public comments at our last meeting, Ms. Amy Luma addressed the board about maintenance on our ball fields. I have spoken with Ms. Luna and I did ask her to communicate with Mr. Gleason, our district-wide athletic director, about the maintenance plan that we have in place. Congratulations, as Lizzie mentioned, to our gymnastics team who qualified for the MHSA 2025 team state finals. The girls will compete this weekend in Grand Rapids. Last week I attended the Genesee County Superintendent Spring Retreat. The retreat included discussion topics and presentations on artificial intelligence, academic goal setting, Medicaid reimbursement process, a legislative update from K-12 Alliance, enrollment projections, information on the new dyslexia law, English language learner updates, and we also heard from Bob Duan, the MSBO executive director, who talked about best practices on budgeting. As part of that retreat, administrators from Linden joined other district leaders to hear Dr. Jen Donahue talk about collective efficacy. The county is moving in a direction that focuses on academic improvements to engage all learners. This was a step in bringing educators from across the county together to discuss how we can collectively work together for the success of all of our students. That's all I have.
All right, thank you very much, Ross. And any board members with reports this evening? Mr. Montague?
Thanks, Ms. Luck. Good evening, everybody. Last Thursday, Ms. Hanson, Ms. Luck, and I attended a presentation at the GISD, which was given by Detective Sarah Combs from Flint. And I know we've kind of got some mixed company here, but I'll just summarize by saying it was around some gang activity that is in the area, and Ms. Combs made it known that it does in fact, and it is in place in all of Genesee County, so we watched a lot of videos and talked a lot about how that can present itself, and I think we have a lot better information now, some of the things to look out for. I know a lot of administrators have taken that training too, so, and even if a student is not a part of it, if they show certain signals that they might be, there have been examples of retaliatory action taken around that individual and even their family's home, so it is something to definitely be aware of. It definitely opened my eyes up, and I think it was supposed to be an hour event, ended up going probably almost 2 hours because it was so engaging. There's a lot of questions, a lot of discussion, so it's good to know and be educated on that. And then on Tuesday, I will be back up there for being a part of the committee that is going to vote on the scholarships that the GISD gives out for all of the county, so that'll be really exciting. That's all I have. Thanks.
Anyone else? Mr. Everhart?
I was just gonna give an update that on February 27th, I attended a MSAB webinar of the state of the state of Whitmer's speech. I believe Ms. Hanson was there too, just kind of going over the issues of education that the governor says. So that was kind of nice to see what the government relations for MSAB is going over.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? No, I'll just mention quickly, Mr. Montague mentioned the event at GISD, which was very informative. Also, because I was not at the last board meeting, thank you, Mr. Montague, for taking lead on that meeting. And they probably mentioned some Michigan Association of School Boards trainings that several of us had done through the Winter Institute the week prior. And I also participated in 4 of those virtual classes. So It's always good to get together with other colleagues from other districts in the state and hear about what's going on, you know, in general, and share stories and all that. So it's also always a refreshing reminder that we should all be very grateful to be in Linden, which is great. So, all right. Oh, and I just wanted to mention as well, I jotted down a quick note. I know we have elementary principals in here. Just please share with your teachers if they want to invite any board members in to read this month. I know that's something that I've always looked forward to in the past, and I'm sure others would be interested as well if there's capacity for that. We would be happy to come in and read to the classroom. So, all right. Up first this evening are our recognitions, and I always say is the best part of every board meeting is student recognitions. So I know there's several students here that are being recognized tonight for awesome leadership within your school community. So I'll just go in the order here that's on my sheet, which starts with Linden Elementary, and I think I saw Mrs. Strickert here.
It is with great pleasure that we recognize Elena Hoffman as our Linden Elementary Student of the Month. She consistently demonstrates the ability to stay focused on her work, even in the midst of distractions. Her neat and organized handwriting is a testament to her attention to detail, and her dedication to improving her reading skills has been truly commendable. Beyond her academic efforts, she is also a kind and supportive friend, always fostering a positive and encouraging environment for her peers. Congratulations, Elena, on this well-deserved recognition. One of Mrs. Pfeiffer's students, Elena Hoffman.
Congratulations, Elena. Keep up the good work. Do you have a speech prepared? No, not today. All right, I just thought I'd ask. I know we have some high school students that are probably here for class, so I thought anything we can do to drag the meeting out even longer, they would really appreciate that, right, Jenny?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, congratulations, Elena. Keep up the good work. All right, up next, for Hyatt Elementary, Mr. Strickert is here to present Hyatt Student of the Month.
Good evening, everyone. It's truly a pleasure to be here with my second Mr. Center. And Mrs. Cranston, we recognize him, and thank his family for you just being outstanding again. So congratulations on being our student. Mrs. Cranston.
Okay, I had it written down. Roman has shown outstanding behavior in the classroom and truly sets a wonderful example for everyone around him. Aside from his quick wit and his funny jokes, which he's got an amazing sense of humor. What really stands out about Roman is his exceptional relationships with others. He's kind, patient, always willing to help. If a friend is struggling or feeling down, Roman is one of the first ones to go out there and see what can he do, what can he, do they need a friend to play with, what can he do to just make their day better. He's just a genuinely kind and thoughtful person. Roman is, like I said, the first to offer support and encouragement. He treats everyone with respect, and his friendly nature makes our classroom a warm and welcoming place for all. Roman always follows our classroom rules, listens carefully, shows respect to teachers and classmates. He is responsible, dependable, and a leader in our classroom. It's not just about doing what is right when someone's watching, but Roman consistently chooses to do the right thing because he just knows it's the right thing to do, and he's just got that character about him. This kind of positive behavior is what makes Roman such a good model and leader to his peers. All these qualities and many more are going to make you successful in your future, and we can't wait to see what path you choose in your life. So congratulations.
Congratulations, Roman. Did you have a joke you wanted to tell us?
He did. Do you want to share it?
You want to tell us? Yeah, please. You can come to the microphone if you want. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Should slide out.
Oh, there you go.
You want to?
What cheese isn't yours? Nacho cheese.
Ah, good one. Way to go, Roman. Making us laugh. All right, up next is Central Elementary, and Mrs. Morford.
Good evening. Congratulations so far to all the Student of the Month. I would like to introduce Mrs. Strickert, our PE teacher, and Asher, who is our Student of the Month, who has been rocking it out at Central. Hi, everyone. So when I was asked to pick a fourth grade student for Student of the Month, Asher was one of the first students that crossed my mind. Asher is a wonderful student. In physical education class, he's a hard worker who's kind, helpful, supportive of all of his classmates. Each day he comes into class and he has such a positive attitude. If he ever has a bad day, and I'm sure he does occasionally, you never know it. I mean, he just comes in like a ray of sunshine every single day. When I need somebody to volunteer for anything, he's always the first one to step up, first one to volunteer. He's also a very kind young man. Whenever there's a student that may need extra help in class, Asher is very quick to volunteer with a smile on his face and always so helpful, teaching kids how to bump a volleyball or do anything that we might need. I've truly enjoyed having Asher in my class as a student this year. And I also have a little blurb from Mrs. Bowles, one of his classroom teachers. Asher is an all-around exceptional student. He's kind, hardworking, and responsible, and respectful, and enthusiastic about school and learning. Asher goes above and beyond in the classroom. For example, he participates in class discussions, helps others, and is always ready to learn with a smile on his face. Asher is such a kind student. Every morning I greet them as they enter my classroom, and he is one of the only students that says good morning to me and has a big heart, and it shows by his kindness for others around him. Asher's positive attitude and hard work ethic shows in everything he does. He is a wonderful example of a SOAR student. I feel lucky to have Asher in my class this year. He is such a bright light, and I am so proud of all the things he has accomplished. Keep up the great work, Asher. So that's from Mrs. Bowles. So both myself and Mrs. Bowles, a lot of similarities in what we have to say about this wonderful young man, Asher Terriot.
Congratulations, Asher. And just from hearing from your teachers, the smile on your face and saying good morning makes such a big difference to people. So keep doing that. And congratulations again. All right, our Linden Middle School Student of the Month is under the weather today, but hopefully we'll get the opportunity to maybe publicly recognize Olivia Green moving forward. But Olivia was the Linden Middle School Student of the Month. So we will move along now, last but not least, to Linden High School, and Mr. Dretsky is here to present the Student of the Month.
Good evening and congratulations to those students of the month so far. And thank you to the family for coming out supporting our Student of the Month, Melody Maxtroff, and her nominating teacher, Mr. Jeff Name.
So it's my pleasure to introduce Melody as our Student of the Month. Melody exemplifies excellence in academics, athletics, and leadership, making her a truly outstanding member of our school community. Academically, she's challenged herself with rigorous coursework, including AP U.S. History, AP Psych, and Advanced American Literature. Dedication to her studies is evident in her impressive GPA, an unweighted 4.0 and weighted 4.1. Beyond the classroom, Melody is a leader and a competitor. She is a dedicated athlete competing in varsity cross country, JV girls basketball, where she serves as the team captain and also varsity track. Her achievements in cross country are particularly noteworthy. She was named first team in the Metro, qualified for state, and placed fourth in the region. Dedication and perseverance in her sports have earned her a spot in the top 15 times in cross country for Linden schools. Her leadership extends beyond athletics, as she is also an active member of the student council, working to make our school a better place for all students. Even outside of school, her passion for sports continues throughout club soccer, further showcasing her commitment and drive. She did have several comments from teachers. First being Dr. George. You like that? Okay. Dr. George had to say Melody is an amazing student. Her work is of the highest quality, and she often helps her peers in class Her kindness and positivity radiate as brightly as her smile. Congratulations, Melanie, you deserve this honor. Ms. Barton says she's a great kid. She always helps her classmates, asking great questions in class, and always so kind to everyone. She's doing amazing academically, but how kind she is to everyone has been the most amazing thing to see. I've only had her for this semester, but she always is so quick to help her teammates and ask for help when she needs it. Both are awesome skills to have at such a young age. And Ms. Slater said, I love Melody, with 4 exclamation points. She's such a sweet girl. She's the only 10th grader in my AP Psych class, and she has one of the highest grades. So Melody is a remarkable example of what it means to be a student athlete and a leader. Her dedication, hard work, and character make her a deserving recipient of this recognition. So along with also congratulating the other young folks that received their Student of the Month, and we'll see you guys in a few years at the high school, I want to congratulate Melody as a high school Student of the Month.
Congratulations, Melody. Some very impressive stats that Mr. Nagy threw out there. I saw you like questioning a couple of them. And that's a typical Student of the Month, right? Like, oh no, it couldn't possibly be that good, right? Just, you're probably that good. So congratulations, keep up the hard work. And it's a great honor. I always feel like for the high school students, you know, out of the whole high school to be picked as the Student of the Month, that means a lot, because that means a lot of teachers were behind you. So, way to go. Well, shoot, that concludes the best part of the board meeting. But thank you to all the students of the month and families for being here. Thank you to the administrators and teachers for being here. I always think it's really impressive and nice when teachers take time out of their evenings to come and recognize students of the month. That means a lot. Families that are here with their kiddos, you know, they probably wouldn't be where they're at without you. So keep up the great work with your amazing young students. And if you want to take the opportunity to get some pictures, you can do so. You're welcome to stay for the rest of the board meeting. But if you have other things that you want to carry on and do, we'll take just a brief break as we move into our first administrative update this evening. So if you guys want to exit, you're welcome. Although students that are here for class, they must stay. Sometimes they try to sneak out too, like, oh, this is a good opportunity. Our first administrative update this evening will be Mr. Strickert. And Mr. Strickert will give you a couple minutes in case you, and we'll be ready to roll through when you return.
So thank you, appreciate you for the time to come out here tonight and talk to you about Hyatt Elementary and where we are this year, and hopefully bring some things together, because I really feel like through this presentation, everything from the strategic plan down to the decisions that you guys have made, the directions we've been given, and how things are coming together as a staff at Hyatt and our kids and our families, I really feel like things are coming together well. And making heroes a day at a time is kind of how we look at it, just by looking at the kids' faces, and it's really like this. And the Eagle legacy, as somebody who went to the school district, raised kids here, lived like many of you in the community, I think it's a privilege to serve with all the wonderful staff that I have. And I want to start with that first, because I think it is a legacy legacy that we're trying to create and to pass down. This time's coming, and we're gonna be stepping down our first, I want to make sure that what we're doing today is gonna have an impact on those that are gonna be coming back this area in the future and recognize how wonderful those students. We continue to service young 5 through 3rd grade students. We currently have 364, which is up over years previous. I think it's interesting to note that right now, on average, we're over 20 years of experience for the teachers that are in the classrooms. And that brings a lot of craft and a lot of information that we have to continue to pass down. We continue to service academic concurrent students, which is a wonderful opportunity for us to create leads. And there's numerous awards that are on there, which we have chances and privilege to see with our staff. So, in the very bottom, I think is school plus family equals strength and success, and that's really key to the things that happen in our entire district. So what makes Linden special? It's focusing on the whole child, and the whole child is something that you have done and established when you have those conversations in here and making those decisions as far as how money is going to be spent, programs are going to be in place. They're not easy, but truly, if ever there's been a time, pictures kind of cut through the thoughts, it's just the impact he has each and every day. It's tremendous. Just what he was doing today, things that it's an amazing that he handles. So, a hierarchy of needs. We're looking at the whole child. You have to make sure that something as simple as the physiological needs are taking place first, because if that does not happen, learning's not going to happen. And we are working with things right now on a daily basis that involve outside agencies that we were not dealing with 4 years ago. Let alone 10 years ago prior to COVID. And so we have had to adjust our thinking and how we relate to children, how we relate to parents, and to build those bonds and make sure these things are taking place so that they understand that. And for many of them, school may not have been a positive experience like we had here in Linden. And so you have to work through those things so that they can have that trust to know that when I'm calling to talk to you about something as simple as, hey, how's the heat working today? It's not a, I'm looking down on you, it's I really care. How's the heat today? Because if it's not, we're going to help you. And then working right up through that hierarchy. And the decisions you've made, if you look at the individuals that we have in place up there on that board, every single day they are working together as a team to make sure that we're meeting these needs, that learning can take place. And I mean everybody, that all Hyatt staff, from the bus drivers out front to safety patrol at the door. It begins with everyone. So ensuring that legacy of professional learning, this year, Mrs. Thomas was able to provide common planning time, which we've never experienced before at the elementary level. And so through our CIA leadership team, we've created a moment where at least once a month we're sitting down together and we said, what's our focus going to be on? Right? Maximizing time, which we always seem to have enough of, and curriculum agreements. Why is that important? Because we need to make sure that what's happening in your room is happening in your room, is happening in your room. I got 20.3 years of experience. I got one teacher with 40 years of experience right now that everybody loves. She's not going to stay forever. I got somebody else with 8. When we have that gap happen, I want to make sure that it continues. And so ensuring legacy means we have to sit down and have tough conversations and agree to trust each other and open the doors. In a time when it seems like our doors always got to stay closed. And so it's breaking those things down. It's allowing our literacy coaches to actually lead and take those things on. I'm thrilled to say that everybody's been very excited about this. Mostly. Leaders or even our kiddos. The Peer Buddy Safety Patrol, the kids love it. Parents, when they show up at the door, they tell us how much they appreciate the fact that they see high fives even from kids to parents, saying good morning when they open the door up, allow them to greet the kids. It's just how it makes you feel. This year, Mrs. Strickert and Mrs. Acock, so we need to start working together. So I've got first graders coming over once a month, third graders are linking and reading to them. Then the third graders are going over to Linden now, and they're listening to their kids. So bringing that unity together inside our campus, I think, is something else that we're going to continue to focus on, because one of the things you hear is, we're Linden now, well, we're Hyatt. No, we're Eagles. And you're just in different buildings, and then in a couple of years, you're all going to be together at Central. So you need to get along and understand that we're a family. And so that's been a big push that's been going on through the training, the collaboration, all of that. And I hope to see more of that. Now with ECC being attached, I don't know, I feel like a college coach is getting on the brain. It's like, this is exciting stuff. I mean, it's pretty cool. So the link down there was broke. I apologize. I have to log in to show you, but through eSpark, with that purchase that we have, that computerized adaptive learning for the kids in the classrooms, kids can go in and the teacher gives them an assignment, and instead of you having to go and check them, they can actually do a quick video. Say, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm gonna teach you about multiplication using 5s and 8s, and then they talk to you what they do, they show you their work, and then they put it down. The teacher can then do that at any time and then provide feedback. Kids get a chance to lead, practice their speaking, practice their teaching, talking to themselves. It's a wonderful, wonderful benefit of the eSpark program. So, and it is all about team. I've got 55 dedicated individuals, several of them are here tonight. And honestly, you can't do this job without that. And out there, those represent different teams. There's actually 15, I counted them up, different subsets of our building team. Many of us serve on multiple teams, if you will, but having had the trust to work together and to go towards that common vision is what makes it special as well. And again, everything from MERT to the kitchen staff, it starts everywhere. So here's just some data for this year, real quick for you on eSpark. Up to 20% or more on any quiz from the pre and post. I think NWA is pretty consistent from year to year for us, which we're very blessed with that. But take a look at the store. Over 5,000 tickets. That's 5,000 opportunities for staff to stop and tell somebody, I appreciate you and what you're doing. And I don't know if I've ever had 5,000 compliments in my life. If you look back and track them, I want to see this. But the kids are still just as excited today as a third grader getting a ticket as if they were a kindergartner. And it speaks highly of the fact that we've only got 57 office referrals. When I was in another district, I was averaging almost 800. So the difference between what you can learn and do when you do something like this it's tremendous. And that's a huge shout out to the entire staff. So we're also fortunate to get an award through the county of $6,000. So we're going to create an outdoor learning space. As you can see, it's right outside the media center at the playground. I anticipate members of our community are going to use it as well, which is fantastic because they're out there all summer anyway. Let's give them a place to be. But we're going to do some of those social emotional, and also I'm looking at tying some more science. And that was after conversations with staff too. They said this would be a great space. How can we use this? And so we're going to get the furniture this year, and then start working on building some different projects in place as far as the garden beds and greenhouse. I'd like to do sunflowers all down the south side there. So when people are pulling up, it's just a field of yellow, but it works. So going forward, bond projects, you get lots of updates. We were meeting today. The staff is actually, I would say, extremely positive and supportive of everything we're doing. I had to have a couple of meetings ready to say, hey, heads up, this is what's coming. Everybody's been on board. So we're in the process of preparing to move four rooms next week and our including STEM. And like again, Greg was over today answering questions, and everybody's just on. In fact, I'm trying to tell them to slow down a little bit. But it's been very good so far. So we're gonna get some payments done. Hopefully, I'll get us down the schedule a little bit where we were. And then looking ahead, another team on the bottom. Lots of bond projects in planning. We're just trying to keep the communication up. And like I said, I'm looking forward to working within our campuses and get aligned because we have to support each other. At any given day, we're on the phones. You got so-and-so, you got so-and-so, you need some help. We need to keep that team going. Because our parents are going to see it as they're pulling in. They're going to see all three of us and how we work together. So, and yes, I am looking forward to new locks at my doors, meetings. So, but and I'll leave it with the last one, folks. I think it's worth saying out loud. I think this is kind of how we live, and I think it's part of our identity at Hyatt. It's be curious, not judgmental. You know, don't approach a problem as if somebody's doing something to you. Ask first, and the secret is just being a good person. I think if you work with good people and you are a good person, anything's possible. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. I think most, if not all, of the creative team is here tonight, right? We do probably need to work on your picture stretching though. If you're gonna put things in public PowerPoints, right, ladies?
Yeah.
Camera angle, Mr. Strickert.
Yeah.
It's all right though.
This way.
You get 30 rolls of
We're gonna go to the
paper.
No, we really appreciate it, and I really appreciate your last comment too. This is like a mantra kind of in my day-to-day job. We try to move forward with this. Assume that everybody is approaching whatever they're doing with good intentions.
Mm-hmm.
And then it makes it a lot easier than assuming somebody's doing something like malicious or
Yes.
ill-intended, because we all make mistakes and things are different depending on where, you know, what angle you're coming at something from. So I think this really relates to that, and I may take this quote back to use myself. But thank you very much for the information. Does anybody have any quick questions or comments for Mr. Strickert? Mr. Murphy?
Thank you, Mr. Luck, and thank you, Mr. Strickert, for the presentation. I'm fortunate to have a daughter that works for you. She doesn't have any negative things ever to say, it seems like, so that must be a good sign. I guess the biggest thing is, you know, K-3, the one thing we hear about getting thrown out there in the news is how third graders can't read in the state of Michigan at a very high clip. I assume we're not in that ballgame, because I know that's a gigantic average of the state, and they talk about that. And so, I mean, speaking to the NWA numbers, what does that really mean as far as like the percentage of our kids that are third grade that read at a proficient level? I mean, can you speak to that for a second?
Sure. So at any given moment, when you take that assessment, it's at that moment in time, as we know about that data. I think truly the biggest thing to come out of it, and I was just, Mrs. D and I were actually sitting down today and breaking it down further to say, and look at these subgroups and identify patterns. And I think I showed what that percentage tells you. We were talking about those that were struggling with informational reading. It's the first thing that caught my mind. It's not only dealt with specifically with character comparisons, I think, that she broke them down. And then from that, we were able to say, is this a pattern across grade level? This is a pattern just by a teacher. Can you really even do that with this data? Is it more than something we look at, we call tier 1? So when your teachers are in the classroom, everybody's getting tier 1. Is this something we can address from the teacher's perspective, or is this something we need more coaching? I think that's really the value that you get out of the winter assessment with the NWA. I anticipate those scores are going to increase in the spring because that is the trend that we see. The other part is it does give you an insight as far as what kids you think are going to pass the spring state assessment. So there is that benefit to it. I like the NWA because of what it does pull for you. We can break it down. We've got some I think, strong conversations this year, specifically with reading and also with math and looking at the quadrant reports. And we're targeting a couple of different areas. One area is the bottom right. We've got those high performers that are not growing at the rate that you think to. And then also the other side is those that maybe are not growing at all. And why is it be? Why might that be? I think that's what you're really going to see as far as with the NWA. The state percentages, yeah, you're getting lumped in with everybody. So you need to kind of compare across the, for us, it's typically the southern tier of our county, and we're right there with everybody else.
So speaking to the point about reading at grade level for third graders, what percentage of ours will actually be there? Is it, it's not 72%, is it?
On the state assessment or this right here?
Well, the one that gets valued out there in the news, is that the state assessment that they're going out there?
The state assessment is one that they're gonna push out, depending on how they configure it. I can tell you more in the spring as far as what our numbers gonna land at. And I think often when they push it out, they're gonna say, these kids met it, okay, so they might say 60%. You might have 10% that miss it by 2 questions, but they're not gonna say that to you. There's always a factor that's driving all of that too. But I can go back and get you the others, come on over, we're gonna sit down and look at it further.
Well, now that they've removed, the state has removed that retention recommendation for third graders who can't read at that level, now that that's no longer in play, has that taken the foot off the gas at all, or?
No.
Not really?
No.
Still driving hard?
Research didn't support that in the first place. You can go to set suspension, you can do all the research, encourage anybody to look it up. Suspension change, it doesn't. We still do it for obvious reasons, but same thing with retention laws, if the states have it put in place. It's not impacting reading. You say some of the kids who can read more threatening to push you back in school. It's us being more direct and understand why the child's not closing the gap in the first place, and then being more specific and targeted. And that's where that common time for us to sit and talk is so important. Because now that I can guarantee in time that what you're doing is what you're doing, what you're doing, and you're open enough to say, you know what, I'm not getting the same results you are. Show me what you're doing. That's where the power is going to happen within our classrooms when people are willing to do that. Because if not, what happens is you take those 20 plus years veterans that maybe get success from those that are not having success. If they don't learn from each other as soon as they leave, now we got to grow them up again. Here comes the next group. And so it's really, it just comes down to trust and being open to everybody to say, show me, and then I'm going to do what you're doing.
So even though COVID has been a few years in our rearview mirror, this year's third graders were, would you say, mildly impacted by the end of COVID, or more than mildly?
say probably mildly, it's not the same as what we had, in the past, but I think it still impacts, I don't know how, even if it wasn't somebody I had in my classroom, it was still happening in the home.
Right, that's what I was saying, yeah.
You know, and so
The
we-
3 and 4-year-olds lead
Sure.
into that are now
Sure.
this kind of group that's.
But some of the social, emotional stuff that we were dealing with before, we're not seeing the levels of what we had. And so that's been, I think, a big benefit, because we're thinking about the whole child. We don't have to focus as much on that, and that's allowing us to do some of the other things that are so powerful.
And it's nice to drive by your building now and see more of your building since Officer Williams decided that we should get that front.
Open all that up.
Very
That is
nice. It looks very nice.
It really does.
Yeah. So, thank you for your report.
You're welcome.
Anybody else with comments or questions?
I just wanna say I love the award money that you're gonna be using to possibly do a greenhouse and have outdoor activities for kids, especially like kindergarten through 3rd graders. They need a little bit more activity, especially outside, when trying to sit down at a desk all day. And I personally know a few of your employees, and they always tell me how wonderful you are to work for, and I know that a lot of the women I know that work for you are super fun. And my niece was a student at Hyatt. My children went to Linden now. I know both schools are amazing, but it always seems like Hyatt really strives for academic excellence. And I didn't know if we're talking about scores for the K through 3, is there something that the board could do to help raise those scores more, or is it maybe more parental involvement? Because K through 3, just looking back at my kids, we had to do a lot more reading at home. If we weren't doing things at home, we couldn't just expect to send them at school. And learn basically just with the teacher, we had to do things at home. So is there something that we need from parents or for the board to make it even better?
I think part of it is it's us communicating what those needs are. So many people only know what they know. And we live in a world where, like I said the other day, I was just guilty. I sat down, in fact, I walked out of my office, I went out in the hall, it was 3:25, I walked out, I had 6 parents standing there with just all their kids down, I walked out, and all 6 of them were like this. And they're standing this far apart, no one's talking. And so I said a joke, I'm sure I did, and they all started laughing. But I think that's part of it, is that we're so locked into the digital world still, that we're missing some of the conversation pieces, some of just the reading, talking about what that is, because we're so wrapped up in the other, that's the area that I think if we get back to that, the kids will come more prepared.
So to ask, since COVID, are parents welcome to come into the school before COVID to help teachers, maybe with like assistants in the classroom? Is that something that Hyatt likes to do? Because I know that during COVID that was kind of pushed aside. Is that something that Hyatt welcomes?
That was all of us, wherever we were all like that. But now, we've got volunteers every day that are in there working in the classrooms, in the halls, office. Everything's going on literacy night, volunteers, and if you can see the walls, that's all volunteers.
Thank you very much,
You're welcome.
appreciate it. And thank you to the staff for being here this evening as well, that means a lot. Oh, yeah, yes, did he like bribe you for the applause? That's pretty good, John, if you did, like, you got a round of applause for that, that was good. Up next is, Mrs. Rush, Director of Business Services, to do a general budget balance, or budget update.
I'm gonna apologize in advance, I don't have any cool pictures of cute kids like Mr. Strickert did, so just bear that in mind. Okay, so, today I prepared, mid-year general fund budget amendment, as well as a slight update to the Argentine Community Service budget as well. So we'll go ahead and start. The general fund budget, just as an overview, if you remember back in June, we were projecting the state funding of a $241 per pupil increase. Unfortunately, that came through at $0 per pupil increase, so that impacted the budget by about $500,000. The general revenues, local sources, not much change. State sources, you guys should have all of that in the handout, so I'm just gonna kind of hit on the high points of some of the major factors impacting the budget. Like I mentioned, the per pupil stagnant foundation allowance, had the negative impact there, but it was offset by the Mid-Source UAAL, offset, which increased by about $840,000. So, that was part of the governor's plan of, we're not gonna increase the foundation allowance, but we are gonna reduce that, increase the UAL offset, to kind of even things out a little bit, which did, happen. We also had, last year we had a categorical of the enrollment stabilization that, as you know, with categoricals, you can't count on from year to year, so we don't plan for that in the budget resolution in June, but they did come through with the enrollment stabilization, so that added just over $160,000. Likewise, the district transportation categorical, they also continued this year, which was about $266,000. So those were the main differences with the state funding. Federal funding decreased slightly with our title and IDEA funding. And then the transfers, that's our special ed consortium, so we do have an increase in consortium revenue of about $100,000 this year as well. Moving on to the expenditures. Under the basic programs, you see a decrease in expenditures of about $274,000. There was a slight staffing increase, but it was offset by that UAL stabilization. So, moving on to the added needs, there's a lot of categorical movement. If you look at the handout that, the supplemental handout that I gave you, there's a lot of categorical movement in the added needs categories with the UAL stabilization, the special ed consortium, an increase of about $350,000 with the expenses for that program, as well as there was an ESSER staffing, as you know, ESSER funding went away, but we were able to reassign that particular staff member to the at-risk funding. So instead of being absorbed by the general fund as we anticipated, we were able to absorb those costs with the at-risk. A little bit of increase in staffing for the paras, and like I mentioned, the title decrease. So there was a lot of movement between those categories, which ended up with not a whole lot of movement overall, with only $46,000 decrease there. As far as the pupil support services, again, the UAL mental health, safety, and security decrease, that categorical grant. And that was also in the pupil category there because we recategorized some of that 31AA funding for mental health and safety and security. Because in prior years we were able to separate it, it was two separate grants. Now that it's combined, instead of being in the pupil with like our nursing staff and things like that, we recategorize that to be specifically for safety and security. So that's why you see the movement in the pupil category there. Operations and maintenance. So there was an increase in our security services budget, as well as the, sounds silly, but the city water and sewer was a big increase this year. So I did adjust those numbers as well. And then HR, the big difference there was obviously the HR director resignation that we've absorbed within our district thus far, so that was a big cost savings there. So overall, it's a total expenditure decrease of about $165,000. So if we're looking at the big picture at the end of the year, those July 1st numbers, if you compared it to the presentation in June, they're not going to be dollar for dollar as far as the fund balance goes, because it is adjusted with our final audited financial numbers. So we had initially projected with the revenues and expenditures for this year, our fund balance would have ended about $6.5 million, which would be about 18.74% fund balance. With the updated expenditures and revenues, we're projecting a $7 million fund balance, which was about 20.56%. Okay, for community service, like I said, normally we don't do a mid-year update on anything besides the general fund, but I thought it would be helpful to look at the community services budget because of all the changes at Argentine with the GSRP funding.
So as you know, that a lot more students qualified for GSRP this year. So we were able to offset a lot of the staffing cost against GSRP instead of having that be absorbed by the community service fund. So you'll notice there's not much difference in the expenditures, just a slight increase of expenditures, but a huge impact on the overall income statement at the end of the year. So a projected fund balance, a projected loss this year of about $170,000 with the GSRP funding based on the slots that are filled in the classrooms that we have, we're projecting a loss of only $30,000. So that will take our fund balance as of the end of June 30th to about $240,000. The rest of these I just did as a little refresher. The only updates on the rest of the funds are, again, to the audited financials as of the end of June 2024. So these numbers, the revenues and expenses in the 24-25 column are exactly as presented. It's just the fund balance had changed, based on the final fund balance at the end of June. Food service, about $459,000 at the end of June. And then, as you know, the activity fund is just basically in and out there. And that's all I have for you. If you have any questions, comments?
Thank you very much for the information. Thank you also for the extra sheet that would help answer some questions as well. I know this is always good news, right? When you're looking at a huge savings versus the other way around. And I think that's a huge compliment to you and the team. I mean, back in July, we were expecting more funding per pupil from the state, significant, as you mentioned, which we didn't end up getting. And so the fact that we're sitting here in March having this conversation now, I think speaks very highly to the fiscal responsibility of the district as a whole. So thank you very much. I don't have any specific questions right now. Do other board members have questions? Mr. Murphy?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rush, for the presentation. I'm glad you mentioned the fact that on the 241 that didn't happen, that there was an offset from the state, and basically an expenditure account, of course, right? In the form of the MIPSers not being charged. Is that, because how does that show up in the balance sheet over here? Under expenses not paying as much as they would have been?
Yeah, so you'll see like the MIPSers, if you're looking at the handout, the MIPSers UAL offset increased by $840,000.
Correct.
Yeah.
You lost 503.
Correct.
Projected student drop that didn't happen.
Yes.
So we're still 350 ahead.
Correct.
So that's good to know. Also, the issue with the Argentine situation, it's unfortunate that we had a few slots that we didn't get filled that weren't necessarily part of our original, but they did do quite well as far as getting a lot of those slots filled. And so hopefully next year that will be the case where we'll fully utilize all of the slots and hopefully drive down that Argentine situation number to at least neutral, if not positive. That would be great.
They did.
That was a big growth, I think, of what happened there because of more students. It made money for us, per se.
Yeah, and we haven't received our final allocation budget for GSRP, so these were the best numbers that I had based on the slots that had been filled at the time. But the projected revenue, just to put it in perspective, I'm trying to get it down somewhere. Sorry, it was about $200,000 increase in GSRP funding based on the slots that we had filled at the time that I prepared. So originally projected $290,000 versus $498,000.
That was a big winner for us. The expenditures on the sinking fund balance, is that pretty much what we're gonna spend this year, or are we gonna erode that by the end of the year even further? It's only projected 198 or 200,000. Do we have any other outstanding projects?
I don't expect a lot of changes to the sinking fund.
All right, and the food service is still something that, we had an issue where we had to spend some money there and so we kind of spent, creating a big deficit there to to bring the fund balance down, is that?
Yes, we're still in the process of the economic spend down plan.
How long do we have to continue that massive spend down? I guess, is the free lunch thing gonna go away eventually, or?
That's a good question, that I'm not sure about. The spend down, every year it's reevaluated, so every year we get a letter if we have more than 3 months worth of expenditures in our fund balance.
Okay. All right, well, very good, thank you for the update.
Welcome, thank you.
Mr. Haney, I think, did you have something? No, okay, Mr. Matthew? go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Ms. Luck. Thanks, Ms. Rush, for the presentation. I appreciate it. Mine's just a quick comment, and I like looking at the variance total against the total expenditure, so the 35 million and about $865,000 variance. So I've ran the percentage, and that's about 2.5%. In my book, that's a really positive and very close to the pin variance on such a large budget. So as we know, there's a lot of individual categories that go underneath these larger categories, and a lot of predictions that have to be made there, and obviously you and the team did a great job at getting really close, so, yeah. Nice job, and thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a lot of things move, and you're like, okay, that affects it this way, and this does this, and then overall you can probably explain it in 2 bullet points at the end of the day, so.
Yeah,
A lot of moving parts, you're welcome.
Appreciate it.
Mr. Engler?
I have one question. I love the report, thank you. But when you said about the water bill, can you tell us the percentage of how much the water bill went up and how much it could potentially go up? 'Cause I don't think the fees are done going up just yet with the Linden water situation.
So I projected based on the bills that we have received thus far.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the
No,
spot.
that's okay.
I'm very curious about like how it would affect us with the future budget too with revenue.
Right.
We did see an increase, and you know, obviously building dependent, at least on this campus, all of it, because we draw all the city water out here. Anything from, 30 to 40 to 50% increase than what we had been paying. Now, it's my understanding too, we can get you those numbers based on bills, just some ballparking, but we did look at it. It is my understanding too, I don't believe the Linden City Council just put the increases on pause to reevaluate, so I don't know what our next bill will look like.
Right.
My understanding, the rates will stay the same where they're at, it just won't increase in April.
Okay.
So, but we did see an increase.
Thank you very
All
much.
right, thank you very much. All right, do we have any public comments this evening, Mrs. Hill? Okay, then we'll move on to the consent agenda, which only consists of our minutes from the regular meeting on February 19th. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved. Or.
Then moved and seconded, all those in favor? Aye, opposed? Motion carries. We have a couple of action items this evening, and that first off is our art display panels. So Linden Community Schools is looking to purchase some art display panels for an upcoming campus-wide art fair for now and moving forward. Everybody's been given kind of some information, and I'll send out some additional information to the board on that as well, which is appreciated. So it is the administrative recommendation to approve the purchase of the art display panels. So since this is an action item, if I can get a motion first, and then we can have a discussion. And I'll support it, so it's been moved and seconded. So if we have questions or Russ, if you have additional information you'd like to share with us.
And again, one of the purposes for the timing is so we can be prepared for the big art show. It's something that's going to be new to the district this year. It's also important to understand that it's not just strictly for the art show. I mean, obviously with the 20 panels, if we had to move them to buildings, we have capacity, we got a little bit of planning because they are big and bulky. But the intent is to continue using them moving forward for district events, district activities, district use.
All right, very good. And I'm sure some of you probably had the same reaction that I did when I first looked at this. I was like, wow, that's expensive. But it was no different than other things that we've purchased, band uniforms and things like that. Everything's expensive. But when you think about how this could affect and impact these programs now and moving forward, it seems like a good use of our funds, and it is being handled through the bond furnishings line item, so that's good as well. Are there other questions or comments about this? Mr. Murphy?
Yes. Mr. Selsky, could you explain the HDC discount?
Can you repeat that, Steve?
Can you explain the HDC discount price?
Yeah, and Greg can chime in too, but that was basically through the quality bidding process. Greg, you want to speak to that a bit?
Yeah, basically,
Basically, that's an additional discount above and beyond the Equalis contract pricing. Not all of the contracts that are, in place throughout the United States allow dealers to sell at a cost lower than contract pricing. This particular Equalis contract, which we have bought a lot of furnishings through, allows the contractors to sell at a rate lower than contract, which is what that additional discount is indicating. So they take the Equalis discount and they apply the additional discount above and beyond that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's just amazing how the list price goes down to about 40% of the list price of what we're ended up paying.
Well, I think you have to take that with a grain of salt, list price, you know, the list price of that
I
is.
hope nobody actually pays the list price.
And it's not, and we got other pricing for those units, one from Screenflex, and I don't know if you were provided this, but, their quote was $40,320 for the exact same quantity. And a third quote that I was able to receive today was within $400 of that. The shipping numbers, I know that was a concern that came up. Shipping costs have went through the roof. Ever since COVID, the numbers have went up, the shortages of drivers, the equipment has become more expensive, the trucks, the maintenance on it, the salaries to get people to drive the trucks have went up. So overall, the cost of that transportation has really risen, over the last 4 years.
Can I go pick those up for that?
I go to New Jersey.
I'll do it for $200 cheaper.
All right, any other questions or comments on that?
Yeah, I'll just add, I talked to Mr. Soselski about it, and my first reaction was, wow, those are really expensive, and I pictured, I guess, just some kind of felt things that would be on stand or something, but once I looked at them, I saw how they're configurable, I started thinking about, even throughout the day, all the possible uses where you could separate parts of a gymnasium or part of the multi-purpose building. It looks like you can kind of put them in a block. I could even think maybe parent-teacher conferences, or if you have something with more privacy. So I like that they're durable and they're on wheels. And so after I saw them and I started thinking about a lot of different uses for them, I was able to get on board with the cost.
A lot of the testing that we do with various things, and they're all tackable, you know, so they can staple to them or push pins in them or whatever, you know, design will last a long time, so.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, there are no other questions or concerns. We have a motion and support to approve the purchase of the art display panels as presented. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, our second action item for this evening is the general fund budget adjustment. Based on the presentation by Mrs. Brush a few minutes ago, it is the administrative recommendation to approve the general fund budget adjustment as presented. Do we have a motion? Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the general fund budget adjustment as presented. We kind of already asked questions. Is there anything further that anybody has? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, we do not have any discussion items this evening, nor do we have a closed session, so at 7:05, we will be adjourned. Students that are here, any of us can sign your paper.